The Kia E-Niro, a small SUV that gets a lot right and some things not so right. After spending more than a week with it, what are my thoughts? Is it worth a try? I'll answer this and a lot more in this review. Starting at the front of the Kia E-Niro, you've got this Tiger grille, which I rather like and replaces the normal sort of grille you get on cars. And it's also got the charging port with a light, which is awesome at night time, let me tell you. Behind here, you've got a CCS2 combo charger, so you've got your AC and your DC, and this is capable of accepting from 2.3 kilowatts, which is the 10 amp charge you get with the car, up to 100 DC on a fast charge. There's a few accents around the E-Niro, such as these blue tinges on the front and on the rear, just to denote it's actually electric. Got your radar down here and LED headlights. The side profile of the car I actually quite like. The front, neither here nor there. The back, yeah, it ticks all the right boxes. You've got this little plastic line here along here, which is a little bit of a bumper for car parks and supermarket trolleys and things like that. You've got your keyless entry, which if you've got the key in the pocket, it does this kind of cool thing that you're thinking to yourself, great, look, the mirrors come out and I'm going to get into the car, but no, you actually need to push the button on the door to be able to get into and out of the car. And then finish off at the back, you've got the new Kia logo, large rear glass that you can actually see through quite well, bit of a sloping roof line, obviously a washer, reverse camera, which kind of 480p, aka 1990, that could do with an update, and quite a good sized boot for, again, what is a small SUV. The Kia E-Niro features a removable roller blind, which is great for keeping prying eyes out. Boot space is generous. With the seats up, it's 451 litres, and with the seats down, 1405. Under the floor, you've also got space for a spare tyre if you want to do that sort of thing, or conversely, it comes with a foam moulding that holds all your charging equipment, that 10 amp 2.3 kilowatt charger, and yeah, a pretty good package. And speaking of storage space, it must be mentioned, there is no front here. Instead, you get a hangover from what was a petrol car. The interior of the Kia E-Niro is actually pretty nice, generally speaking. There's leather steering wheel, leather seats, which are 8-way adjustable, including lumbar support that goes in and out. The passenger seat is a manual affair that has 6-way adjustment though, so it's still pretty good. So you can find a nice comfy position because the steering wheel is also both tilt and telescopic in and out. The continued use of high quality materials can be felt on the top of the dash here, which is kind of weird because you don't normally put your fingers up here like this. This is something that people do in car reviews. But on the side where you've got leather on the actual armrest, so it's a nice comfy position, as well as here on the center console. So yep, beautiful. Have your hands down the bottom of the steering wheel for comfortable driving when you're cruising. But then it's got some really nasty hard plastics on the top of the seals and the back of the seats as well, and down here on surfaces that you're going to be touching, like, you know, the glove compartment. It doesn't make sense. It's black, the piano finish feels a little bit dated, and it's awesome at picking up fingerprints, and that's a bad thing, by the way. But yeah, it's kind of, well, I don't know. But the thing I do like about it is that at night time, wow, it's the business. The red, orange sort of ambient lighting of all the buttons, it gives it this Audi, BMW vibe. And although the switchgear is very much Kia and typical of the brand, it feels premium. It feels definitely a bit above what a normal Kia is, and something that I think Kia should be very proud of. For the driver, you've got full control over all the windows, including full auto for the front windows and increments for the back. Central locking is standard, as well as full control of your mirrors, which also fold in when the car is parked. You've got the usual buttons here to control things like your headlight position, as well as a button to actually stop a timed charge. On the steering wheel is quite busy and a lot going on, but you get used to it pretty quickly, and things like voice assistant with Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, frequently used apps, so it switches between the last three things, telephone, volume up and down, mute, lane keep assist, radar cruise control, and some trip mode stuff on the computer screen in front of you. One of my dislikes with the Kia E-Niro is that every time I get into the car and turn it on, it defaults to either eco or normal mode, but never remembers that I had it in sport mode. Additionally, it never remembers that I had auto hold on. Also, it doesn't remember that I had it on cruise control, and it doesn't remember that I want lane keep assist. Honest to goodness, that's super annoying. So 1, 2, 3, 4 buttons I need to push to be able to get this car to where I had it last time. And sure, on the actual center console here, you've got profiles, but that only remembers settings for things like your volume level and your car radio stations and stuff like that. Not for seat memory, and definitely not for those 4 different buttons I spoke about before. It's really annoying. Front and center, you've got a nice clear pinnacle that displays your state of charge of your battery, how much range you have left based upon mode. So if I was to change the mode now from eco to sport, back to eco, normal, or press and hold it to push into eco plus, which now turns the aircon off, and yeah, it's 39 degrees outside, so we're not going to do that. Shared between yourself and your passenger is this lovely 10.25 inch screen, which is quite modern, and I like how that integrates the sort of map into the background with that lovely color scheme. And again, at nighttime this thing just looks an absolute delight. Being black and having very high contrast levels, fingerprints are definitely a thing, but look, what infotainment system doesn't have fingerprints on it? The center console is quite complete. You've got, again, this nice armrest with storage under there and a USB port. You've got a Heidi cupboard, one of the 4 drink spots that you can actually put some cups into. Plus also in the doors, you've got another 4 there as well. A cute feature that my daughters liked, but honest to goodness, why would you ever do it again, is this little thing where you push in the cup holder and oh, it comes out. It's quite exciting to do, but again, if you have these tucked in, your drinks or whatever you're going to have in there are just going to rattle all around the place. It doesn't make sense. In the rear seat, space is actually pretty good, especially for a small SUV. Knee room's great, headroom as well. Underfoot, not too bad. Sitting across, 2 people, 2 kids, baby capsules, no dramas whatsoever. But if you want to get 3 across the back here, it's going to be a bit squishy, let's face it. You've got a very hard center rest here that actually comes down to work as an armrest for the rear passengers, so you've got support on both sides, plus the benefit of cup holders. But yeah, shoulder width is going to be a bit tight, and I don't think the person in the center is going to appreciate that. But remember, it is actually a small SUV. Windows coming down for the rear passengers is nice as well, comes down to almost near the bottom, and the sill height isn't that tall either, so kids can look out quite comfortably. The vents down the bottom are good, especially very welcome in Australia where we have very hot summers, but an omission that I don't get is that there's no USB there. There's 3 at the front plus the 12-volt socket, but none at the back. It's 2022, and why is that? And speaking of modern things, the dome lights, the incandescent bulbs, they shouldn't be on a car built this year. No, they need to be LEDs, so I think Kia could improve on those things. I've been driving the Kia E-Niro for over a week now, and it has this awesome summary screen of your actual energy consumption for each trip. And as you can see, it's varying between 17.6 kilowatt hours per 100 Ks to as best as 8 kilowatt hours to 100 Ks, which is excellent. If you've got more spirited driving, yeah, you're not going to be getting 455 clicks out of it. No, more like 400, 410. Still not bad, considering it's a 66 kilowatt hour battery. Can you hear that sound? When you're reversing or going forward at slow speed at less than 30 km per hour, it warns pedestrians that you're around and about, which is awesome, perfect. But I don't understand that whilst here at a standstill, it's making the noise. After all, internal combustion engine cars, petrol, diesel, whatever, with the stop-start systems, when they turn off, like, you know, they put the car into best, the engine ain't running, you don't hear them. So why in God's name is it going now? It's a little bit frustrating. Driving the Kia E-Niro up the front is a single motor capable of producing 150 kilowatts of power or 395 newton-meters of torque, which is actually quite punchy. You think just back in the 2000s when you could get a Holden Commodore V6, this thing's more powerful than that. So 0 to 100 time is pretty respectable. To help with range, you can actually get the car into Eco Plus mode. There's actually 4 modes. There's Eco, there's Normal, and there's Sport. But if you press and hold the driving button, it pushes it into this Plus mode. And by doing so, you can kind of have some fun and game it as to, well, if I do this, like take my foot off sooner and accelerate slower, it gives you this actual, hey, by doing this, you're going to get another 100 meters out of the car or another 200 meters out of the car. I'll give you a quick demo now. Oh, there we go. So we've just got 100 meters by letting the car use the regen braking up to its absolute maximum. And speaking of gaming, these pedals in the back of the wheel to change the amount of regen you get, you use the left one to increase the amount of regen you get, and that gives more energy back into the battery when the car slows down, or use this right one to actually put it into a more typical manual or automatic car. So I take my foot off the accelerator, and it's got a coast. It's actually probably using energy to do this, mind you. And can I just make it top tip? If you are brand new to EVs, get used to using regen braking, because it's going to give you that additional range, and you can slow the car down to almost a near stop by using your regen. So I'll put it back up to 3 at the maximum, and as you can see, the little you know, hey, you're doing great here, use this eco stuff, this is awesome. But yeah, it's kind of a bit hit of a miss. That why, if this has got radar cruise control and it can come to a complete stop in traffic and handle stop-start traffic, why can't it actually blend in brakes at the very end and do true one-pedal driving? The Kia E-Niro has a full suite of safety systems that you'd expect in a car in 2022, such as rear cross traffic alert, cycle and pedestrian warning, autonomous braking, so on and so forth. And I'll put the full list on the screen right now. It's comprehensive and not much is missing from this list. One of my top 5 pet peeves with the Kia E-Niro is that why doesn't it have one pedal driving? If I take my foot off the accelerator right now, I'm in level 3 regen, and I pull on the paddle, I've just come to a complete stop. We're rolling a little bit because the electric motor hasn't, well, or rather the brakes haven't engaged. So it baffles me. It's a simple solution. It can be fixed through software, and I would highly recommend Kia either address it, or at least, I don't know, I'm hoping to get my hands on the EV6. That'd be awesome. Yeah. The E-Niro comes equipped with auto hold as well as an electronic park brake, which when you put it into drive will disengage and away you go. But when you come to a stop and I put it into park mode through the center dial, why doesn't it also engage the park brake in full? Every other car I've driven in the last 5 years has this feature, and it's very disturbing if you're like on a slight hill or even a more drastic hill and you get out the car, yeah, the car will shift, and it's not very good. I don't understand why it just has an, if I push P, I mean park brake. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. The ride and handling of the Kia E-Niro is actually pretty good. Supposedly it wasn't tuned to Australian conditions, and this is more like a European setup. So you've got the first and struts at the front, you've got multi-link at the back, and it's a little firm, but it doesn't roll. It handles really nicely through corners, so if you want to get into some spirited driving and go up the mountain and do that sort of stuff, you wouldn't think to do it in this car, but you definitely can. Wind noise is actually pretty good. You get the usual stuff from the mirrors at the front. The glass isn't that special laminate sort of glass, so it's typical noise levels. But compared to, I think, the MG ZS EV, this is actually a more refined, better experience in here and not as noisy. And yeah, I think if better than the Tesla Model 3. Again, it actually feels quite nice in here, and that cockpit design, it really gets me going. It gets me excited. What are my final thoughts? There are very few dislikes here, such as the one-pedal driving, which you'll get used to, the perhaps more than outdated looks that might be superseded later this year, the annoying little quirks of how it forgets things, such as the electronic park brake, mode of driving, lane keep assist, and so forth. But there are things it does really well, such as that 450 kilometers of range, well-tuned suspension even though it wasn't tuned to Australian conditions, the more premium feeling interior, and the infotainment system that is fast, zippy, great looking, and has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. But the real stickler here, I think, is price, because as of today's date, this is roughly the same as a Tesla Model 3, and it doesn't have those front sensors, the tech, the charging network like Tesla does, nor autopilot. So it'd be kind of hard to suggest someone go out and buy this, but for others, they'll be thinking to themselves, you know what, I'd much rather have that peace of mind with Kia's 7-year unlimited warranty, that 150,000 kilometer warranty on the battery, and the knowledge that they're buying something from a car maker who knows how to make really good cars. So my recommendation is this: go out and at least give it a go. Very soon there'll be an updated model perhaps, or the EV6 is just around the corner as well, and I'd really like to get my hands on that. So Kia, if you can, please let me have a line over. I really would like to have a go at that vehicle. And guys, girls, if you've enjoyed this video, please do consider giving me a subscribe. It's absolutely free. Or you want to see behind the scenes content about this story, news, polls, and things that you just don't get here on YouTube, join me over here on Patreon, where you get all this and a lot more from as little as $2.50 per month. And as per usual, you be good and you be great.